Hey everybody, welcome to Honorable Mentions Presents The Joy of Posting with your host. It's me, Rachel Jane Andelman, here in the corner of my kitchen that has been described as resembling a detention camp. It's just very barren and unattractive, but that's where the desktop is, so that's where this show takes place. I'm gonna check on my viewers on my phone. I don't know how to do it on the desktop. 8 viewers, cool. 8 viewers at the beginning of the show in the first 2 minutes is good. I've looked at the analytics. I've pored over the analytics because I want to be popular on this fucking thing. I want people to watch the show. I like revamped my show. I'm like, okay, I had this like relatively for me, tightly produced show that's like half an hour that like maxed out at half an hour. And I read, I'm like, oh, Twitch shows are supposed to be longer. I can't do that for more than 30 minutes. So I switched it up. I'm doing this other thing. I'm also like, maybe people will like looking at the process for me writing my jokes on Twitter for the posts. If you've ever been like, how do you write a joke? Or how do you write an attempt at one that doesn't necessarily always pass muster, but which is on its way toward eventually becoming a joke you like. That's what tonight is all about. I did have a special guest, surprise musical guest. Then they dropped out, so I do no longer have that musical guest. No one's getting paid for any of this, so none of this should be shocking. It's much more valid to bounce when you're just when everyone is doing you a favor by showing up. So no musical guests, just little old me writing my jokes for you, my Twitter family. That's what we're calling it, right? What's cracking, Noble AV? Not much. I am bleeding a little from my heel, and I'll explain why. A year and a half ago, my parents had guys to come in, rip up the rug in our living room. Can you hear me? They came. My parents brought men in, ripped up the rug from the living room to install flooring. They ripped off the rug from the stairs as well, but did not put flooring down because my parents didn't want to pay for it. So what we've had are stairs that have had neither flooring nor rug, and have actually had each step has had where the vertical and horizontal sides meet, two sets of strips with little nails coming out. And that's been true for about a year and a half. And when I asked my mom, like, how do we fix this? How do we take them out? She's like, there's nothing you can do. And that's kind of like my mom's, like, sometimes she just gets in the head mode. There's like nothing we can do. But they had been bothering me, not because of nails sticking out, but because they're very hard to clean. The nails would like attract dust, and then I couldn't clean them. So the other day I figured out you can use a butter knife for the most part, and pliers. I couldn't find the hammer, and just kind of butter knife that shit up, and that's what I've been doing. But on my way down to do the show, there's like one strip left, and my heel just like banged it. So I am lightly bleeding from my heel. It's no big deal. I'm fine. It's part of the job territory. But this show is not about me hurting myself, unless it's funny. This show is about me doing the thing, writing the jokes, and maybe bringing some joy to the Twitter sphere. So first of all, I believe I'm sharing my screen so you can see the screen. The first thing we do, if you're on Twitter, if you're me, is you check your notifications. Also, I'll probably promote the show like one more time. We'll do it one more time. We're gonna quote tweet. We're gonna be like, get in here. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. Let me blow this up. You guys see that? There we go. Get in here, and you just yell at them because That's the relationship I like to have with my followers. Sorry if I ever do that thing where it like endlessly mirrors itself. I don't mean to give anybody a seizure. And I can see what it looks like on my phone, so I'm doing pretty well. Let's see how we're doing on viewers. 12. That's totally fine. I'm like really like paranoid about having like consistent viewers, even though my show is literally watch me write jokes. I'm like, please let there be people who watch this show. I just want friends here. I just want to have a good show that I can feel good about the number. So anyway, writing jokes. We're gonna write some jokes tonight. If you're watching this show, you may read my jokes on Twitter, or you may read my screenshots of my tweets on my Instagram, or the screenshots of the tweets I write through the 2MB Twitter, on the 2MB Instagram. Wherever you see them, it's fine. We're gonna just change to the other. I actually don't know how to. We're gonna switch over to 2MB. Too much bread. We're gonna post the stuff here, just because I really want the 2MB Studio Twitter to be a place where people find joy and want to follow. It's a little bit promotional. It's a little bit just like, hey, what if there were more than one account that was expressing what I think is funny. So today we're just gonna start. I like things that I think I've said before that I like to usually start just kind of naming objects or naming concepts that I think are interesting, that have multiple characteristics or multiple functions, because then you can play those against each other as you build your joke out. Also on the table are sort of premises, sort of like if you like old corny jokes, you can often take the premise of a corny joke and sort of revise the punchline to make it new and modern, sort of surprise the audience with your new take, or anything else, anything that you can assume everybody knows about. For example, anything topical. I don't know if we'll write anything topical today. Everything in the news is very sad and bad. Also, I'm sure Matt and Ben would prefer me to not write super topical tweets on the super political tweets on the 2MB channel. I don't know if that's our brand. Hello, everyone. Hi, David Thomas. Hey, Kat. Hey, Ben. Hey, everyone. Cool. So we're up to 15. That is good. Good to hear. Good to see. So jokes for tonight. I'm just going to start by writing some things that we may build jokes on. So I'm just going to start with ideas or thoughts or concepts. I'm not going to write any. These would either be sort of the seed or the premise of the joke. I'm sorry, I got distracted because this table I just noticed is very dusty, but that's not something you can see or anything I should be bothered by. But it is just I'm just writing a memory to myself to wash this table. I'm getting more anal about cleanliness as the coronavirus quarantine has gone on, because I go to less places and now I care about the few places I go more. So I'm just like, dust, I need to fix it, but later. My stream of consciousness is not something I inhibit on this show or in my general life while I'm writing, because I think it gets me to where I need to go. So if you're like, why won't she stop talking? It's because I think it is a feature, not a bug. My favorite joke I've ever written, those who know me know that my favorite joke I've ever written is, I like the Cronenberg's The Fly, because it's a feature and a bug. It's probably the most clever joke I've ever written, and I'm very proud of it. Even if it's grown really, I like it. So we're going to start off with some ideas. Just some, first of all, the computer has to write. The tapping has to produce letters. So we're doing some of that. So Belgian chocolate. We're just gonna. I like Belgium. I like Belgium because you can never. Americans don't know what. I don't think Americans know what Belgium is, and I know it from films. From The Kid on a Bike, the Dardenne brothers. But I don't feel like Americans understand where Belgium is or what about it is interesting. So I don't know if any jokes I can write about Belgium will land with anything more than the most niche of audiences. But I do enjoy the idea of writing a Dardenne Brothers joke, especially in the year 2020. I think Dardenne Brothers jokes, for me, if for no one else in the world, will only get funnier as time goes on. I also need to see L'Enfant at some point. That is another film by the Dardenne brothers. Noble AV says he has no sound. I assume other people have sound because hey, Pfeiffer, how you doing, dude? I'm assuming you're a man. So other people have other people can hear. Xian can hear. The rest of us have sound. Noble AV, I'm very sorry you can't hear. If anyone particularly intrepid / selfless would like to provide a running commentary of what I'm babbling about, feel free to produce that commentary for poor and loyal. The only reason I'm doing this is because Noble AV has been to like every one of my shows. Been to, in quotes, a spiritual presence at all my shows. So for him, feel free to provide running commentary on what is happening so that he may enjoy it as well. Thank you very much. We said bad letter, maybe Noble is on mute or something. That is between him and his God. So right now I have to continue to produce work, or else I am 15 minutes in the show. I have not written a single joke. This is actually normal for me. I'll write a bunch probably in the last 5 minutes, but for now, I'd like to at least perform the theater of beginning to write jokes. So let's begin. Belgian chocolate is on the table for those Dardenne brother jokes that no one will get. Let's say what else. Ghosts are always funny, but it's got to be specific. Casper is funny because he's like a chipper dead ghost child. Has two evil stepdads. Is that how they're categorized? Stinky, Stinky Fatso and Slim or Long. I only remember from the movie with Christina Ricci, and it's like gets weird and over sexualized at the end, and Devon Sawa falls from the ceiling. Not falls, like floats. It's very romantic, but they're 12, so it shouldn't be. Casper Mattress, Gunkles, great uncles, grand uncles. Cool. So I don't have any particular jokes about Casper. I'm just kind of riffing. Riffing is a big part of joking and tweeting, especially performing the act of writing jokes for an audience. So we're just going to keep going. If I have a joke for Casper for the Grunkles, I'll come back to it. Other things that have things that are interesting. I like. I wrote a Beetleborgs joke the other day. It went pretty well. Let's think of some more stuff. Compasses are interesting. The Golden Compass. Philip Pullman. Turfs. I'm doing what is known in improv world as a clover with myself, where I'm just sort of free associating. The Golden Compass reminds me of Philip Pullman, which reminds me of British writers, which reminds me of J.K. Rowling, which reminds me of Turfs. That's sort of A to L. Let's do some more. Casper Mattresses. That was a thing that was an association which Ben brought up earlier in the chat. I may use that. That may have something in there. Let's see. Casper Mattresses are full of ghosts. When I say Casper Mattresses are named that because they are full of ghosts. So that would be your premise, and then you'd have a hilarious punchline, which I'll get to as soon as I read the comments. Tim Bisous, A to L, I love that. Dr. Truffle, little British writers forever associated with Turfs. It's true. British writers are associated with Turfs until they do something even more somehow embarrassing or deranged. Casper Mattresses are named that because they are full of ghosts. Not Casper, not any child ghosts. That's against labor laws. So one thing I've noticed recently, and I need to pull back before it becomes a tick, is I really do like putting things in parentheses in my jokes online now. It kind of gives it the flavor of like a whisper, like that's against labor laws. So Casper mattresses are named that because they're full of ghosts, not any child ghosts. That's against labor laws. So that's, for me, this is sort of a C+ tweet. It's not my favorite tweet I've ever written. Hopefully it won't be my favorite tweet that I write tonight, but it qualifies as a joke. And I think, as I've said before, tweeting is not about coming up with perfect jokes every time. It's about getting into a rhythm and not being afraid of putting out okay content, because the worst thing is when you get kind of in your head and perfectionist and you're like, none of these jokes are good enough, and then you don't post anything, and then that's when you fail for not doing anything. J Dogs 1 says, I had several friends who had informed me that Human Casper in the live action movie was part of their sexual awakening. Dr. Love Truffle says, that's true. Devon Sawa is I don't want to talk about him because I am 33, but I have heard that he was part of some people's sexual awakening. My sexual awakening was more Tobias from the live-action Animorphs, as well as Dave Herman from Mad TV, if you must know, and you didn't need to know. So let's see, how is that tweet doing? All right, we got 2 likes so far on it. That is a good sign, because I haven't even retweeted it from my main account yet. That is a tweet that's doing relatively well. Orion says in the chat, Sawa Wiwa. Devon Sawa, I don't believe is a celebrity that I am comfortable making fun of, for 2 reasons. First, I don't think he is strong enough in people's imaginations for it to land, but also I do think that he is active on Twitter and he may see it. And that's like, and I also have nothing against him. So I don't want to make fun of him. I don't want him to get his feelings hurt. He seems like not, I don't want to say the most successful. I don't know how successful he is. I don't know whether he's wealthy or fine or like normal. But there's a lot of paperwork about the morals of a joke about Devon Sawa, and I don't see in my head the payoff ever justifying that paperwork, if that makes sense. But Pfeiffer says, I'm so old, we're talking about the original Pink Ranger awakening. Hey, Amy Jo Johnson was very pretty. I think we can all agree on that, right? She was like very pretty. It was fun to watch her do gymnastics. And she was like cast as like the girlfriend / the she's the one, the girl that you're supposed to fall for. So that all makes sense. I feel like the narrative drew you to that. So we can talk about Pink Rangers in the Power Rangers. The Pink Rangers, I believe this is true, always did gymnastics. The Red Rangers always did karate. And then you could think of I like tweets where I just start listing facts or sort of broadly made statement which roughly correspond with facts. And then if you do that 2 or 3 times, you'll be like, oh, I could just lie here, and that will be the fun punchline. So it's like fact, and then just a fake, then just a lie, and that becomes your punchline. So that is one thing that's nice about just riffing, because eventually you'll just get to a point where you're like, all I have to do is lie, and that's the joke. So in the Power Rangers, the Pink Rangers always did gymnastics, the Red Rangers always did karate, and now we have to just think of a third ranger. So I'm trying to think of a color that would be fake, that would be clearly fake, that isn't too fancy, that isn't too forced. Going back to the chat, the chat's actually great because it gives me time to take my brain off of coming up with a great answer and lets my subconscious sort of roll around a bit. Green Rangers were all venture capitalists. That's a good idea. Susie Q, I think, was in the movie. Susie Q. I was told meeting the Red Ranger when I was a kid ended up being the martial artist in the costume and not the actor. It was devastating for both of us. The Green Rangers advocated for their political party, teal, indigo, beige. Thank you for all the color suggestions. Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't get to meet the real Red Ranger. That sounds really sad. And they should have known that that would be what happened. Like, nobody wants to just meet a guy in a suit. And the Power Rangers, the Pink Rangers always did gymnastics. The Red Rangers always did karate. And then the Tan Rangers were always criticized for their suits by Republicans. We are getting a little political during the Obama era. That would be, for me, the first punchline I thought of. For me, this is fine. I like it because it's not really political. It's just something that is true, that it did happen. Republicans criticizing Obama for wearing a tan suit is, for me, like the funniest thing. Matt writes, now that's my kind of political humor. Cool. Hopefully we don't get any spicier than this. I don't want to wreck the 2MB brand. Again, I feel like this is fine. I will eventually tell myself to shut up and just write a bunch, and those are invariably likely going to be my favorites, but for now I will provide the running commentary just to give you guys a sense of what's going on inside my head before I close up shop and just perform it opaquely. So for this one, in the Power Rangers, the Pink Rangers always did gymnastics, the Red Rangers always did karate, the Tan Rangers were always criticized for their suits by Republicans during the Obama era. That is fine. That's a fine joke. Not amazing, but we're not there yet. So let's go back to the drawing board. Also, if you guys want like fun, low-key, like lo-fi hip-hop music or something without a licensing fee, feel free to tell Matt. If you feel like that would enhance your experience of watching me type. We're always looking for ways to make these shows more enjoyable, and I have noticed that sometimes the shows can feel quiet. So just bug Matt for that. That's not something I'm necessarily going to be a loud advocate for. It would just be something I would think was fine. It's up to you. Let's do some more. Stone's Throw. What I like about babbling is that my brain will just go somewhere else literally while I'm talking, which is good for, it's terrible for most situations, but it's great for jokes because you just need to get somewhere else. Ben says we're working on it. And Matt says, I know you want music. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to passively aggressively. It's like, speaking of what the show doesn't have yet, I'm just talking. So back to jokes. Stone's Throw Away is a funny. There's also that phrase is like, I trust blank as far as I can throw them, which is like a very, what I like about, if you're ever like lost for jokes to build on, or like ideas to build jokes from, rather, always start with like weird old aphorisms, because they are all bad shit. Like, I trust you as far as I can throw you. Like, who's the first guy who said that? That is a bizarre thing. First of all, it like feels like weight shaming. Like, I can't throw you, you piece of shit. You heavy piece of shit. I can't trust you, and you're yeah. I just feel like that'd be such an insulting thing to say to somebody, especially if it was like the first time someone said it. So I'm not sure what the joke is here. I'm just thinking that it's very funny. Dr. Truffle says he wants a loop of screaming alpacas. Ryan says he wants video game music. I will warn the chat that generally I don't take people's punchlines. They may be amazing punchlines. It's just not something my brain does. My brain's not like, oh, great punchline. My brain takes great pleasure and what's the word? pleasure and pride in coming up with the punchlines. So those aren't necessarily going to be ones where I just can even judge the merits of your punchline because I'm doing it. It's sort of like letting someone else eat something, even if they're eating something delicious. I don't taste the food in my mouth. I need the lizard brain, the visceral thrill of the punchline for myself. So never ever take it personally if I reject or ignore your punchlines given in the chat. That's just that's something for me. Uh, elevator music actually wouldn't be bad. I really like Girl from Ipanema. I really like that whole album. I was listening to that album in the woods. That's a good album to like chill while you're like hiking. And I wasn't even high, which is like funny. To like those two activities, you would assume being high would be involved, but they were not. It was not. No marijuana was in sight. The woods always make me think of there was this hippie couple. There was like this couple in tie-dye that I thought would be cool, but I got near them and like the woman was like screaming at the guy, and I'm like, holy shit! I've never had people who like their physical presence undercut like how they were dressed. Like I thought they would be like cool hippie guys, and they were like there was something very wrong between those two, and it freaked me out. And so I always think of that when I think of hippies and woods. Noble EV asked me if I like the band Daughter. I actually don't know them. I can throw people less than a foot. Are they trying to help me or hinder me? So yes, back to the joke. Stones throw away. I trust them as far as I can throw them. When we say, the easiest way to write this joke is just to flip the meaning. When we say we can trust you as far as we can throw you, we mean we trust you with our lives. We are so strong. And then what's cool is that this is one of those sayings. I'm gonna get water for 1 second. Thank you, sorry. This is one of those sayings where if you play with it, you may end up finding something cool. So when we say we can trust you as far as we can throw you, we mean we trust you with our lives. We are very strong. And there is nothing you could do that would hurt us. So here we have this kind of fun pretzeling of the logic. We're so strong, there's nothing you could do to hurt us. So therefore we can trust you because we're so strong. It's one of those things where you try to explain it and you just sort of get tongue-tied, but you're like, I think that this is funny just to think about. This is just something for people to kind of mull over. When one thing you can do is you can sort of start to edit your tweets. You're sort of like, instead of explaining what we mean by this, we can just say it. We can trust you as far as we can throw you. We trust you with our lives. We are very strong. Even if you are untrustworthy, there's nothing you can do to hurt us. That's what we mean. So I'm not sure if this is the best version of this joke, but this feels relatively fresh in terms of flipping the aphorism or exploring the aphorism. So I'm going to just kind of keep it, and we're just going to throw it out there. We're going to post it. And I think that came out pretty fine. It's also fun because I have like my monitor like blown up so you guys can see it. And sometimes for me, I'm very weird. I'm like, sometimes I like jokes more or less depending on what size the text is, because I just like read it differently or it looks different to me. But this one looks fine. We can trust you as far as we can throw you. We trust you with our lives. We are very strong. Even if you are untrustworthy, there's nothing you could do to hurt us. Well, maybe we're just going to add, we hope that makes sense. And I think that's fun because it just ends up being very confusing. So I like that. I like it when a very clean, obvious aphorism is just pretzeled until it becomes complete nonsense. I think that's a fun way of going with it. Kit Tempest, folks, is real hot in the chat. Let's see what he's writing. Sorry if that's the wrong pronoun. Babies are very trustworthy. They eat, cry, and poop pretty predictable. They're fucking liars. Don't buy their crocodile tears. They're not smart enough to lie. That's what you want to think. I don't know how we got to talk about babies. It sounds like you guys are just having fun. So I'm gonna keep going. Cool. So let's keep going with jokes. Guys, I can't believe it's already 9:30. Thank you for hanging in there. Those who are still in the chat, there are 27 viewers. Guys, I love you so much. Let's do some more. And again, if you're just joining, I should say this more often, especially now that this show's an hour. If you're just joining us, what is going on is I'm writing jokes. I'm showing people how I write the jokes, where the jokes come from. My bad brain. We post the jokes, and people can provide suggestions in the chat for the jokes. Although I almost never take people's punchlines, and it's not personal. The punchlines could be great. I just like doing that part. And then I post them, and you can see the posts. The way you can see the posts, if you go to twitter.com/, I'm going to go to the profile if it lets me, 2MB Studios. This is the Twitter account of the Twitch channel. I am in charge pretty much of the Twitch channel. They let me, by they I mean the heads, the brain fathers of the Twitch channel, Ben and Matt, let me tweet almost whatever I want. So whenever you see a fun joke here, is typical. That's me fucking around, as they say in the biz. So please, if you enjoy my tweets on Raj Andelman, feel free to head on over to Too Much Bread. This is where the magic happens for the purposes of this show. So we're just going to keep on going. I also may retweet these just to see if I can get a little bit more action, although it's actually hard to switch accounts when everything is blown up. So we're just going to keep going. How are you guys doing in the chat? How did 2MB get its name? Did a sandwich party go wrong or what? So basically 2MB is Too Much Bread. I never discussed it with Ben and Matt. I assume they took their initials, M and B, and they're like, what else could 2MB mean? There's two of us, M for Matt, B for Ben, but also, what else could it mean? And I assume that's their logic, but we never discussed it, so it could be completely different. They're in the chat and can tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Whenever I go for water, I never fill my cup up all the way, and I'm looking at it now and I'm like, how am I already out of water? Let's do some more. Pottermore is like a weird thing. I don't know enough about Pottermore to make fun of it. Also, like, nobody wants to think about J.K. Rowling right now. I do like Pottermore as a word, as like a concept, like Harry Potter, but like even more of it. Are you guys filled with? Do you guys have enough fucking Harry Potter in your lives? Here's some more of it. I love what it's like. Here's some more Harry Potter. Hope you want it, idiots. That's kind of my just like my head just when I hear that word, and any word that is that evocative for me, there is like a seed there. So I don't necessarily have a joke for it, but this is the kind of idea or kind of word you might start with, or kind of concept, and why it appeals to me as a joke writer. Going back to the chat. Matt and I are two large men who together are too much bread. Pottermania completely missed me somehow. Cat and her loaf. What Rachel says is canon. Yes. I like that. Cool. Let's do some more. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm writing some jokes, you questions, and also at some point this show will have music. They're working on it. Cool. Let's do some more. Dr. Robotnik. Dr. Robotnik, I think it's like a stage name. Nick, is that like a German, is that a Polish name? Dr. Robotnik was born Dr. Robotnikowitz. Is that anything? I just like this slowly. He went to Ellis Island and he shortened it. It's fun. That's like a fun thing. I like it. I like that he like the idea that he's like has an immigrant. He has like an inspiring immigrant backstory. I like that whole thing. If you've never seen the movie Brooklyn, starring Saoirse Ronan, I recommend it. It's very good. She's from Ireland in that movie. Of course she is, right? No, I just like that one. Let's do some more. My last name Andelman means businessman, which is very funny because I am so bad with money. Cool. So let's do some more candy eggs. What are those called? The Entenmann's. I swear I'm not hungry. I'm just now I'm on food. I think because someone said Eggman. Entenmann's are great if you don't care. If you don't care whether it's a cake or cookies, you don't give a shit. You just want to eat out of a little white coffin. Does I'm like, is the food dead? I'm like, you just want to eat out of a little white box? I don't know what eats out of, if I'm like, there's something that eats out of a white box. Like there's something that I could vividly compare you to when you eat an Entenmann's. I am also a little worried while I write this that Entenmann's is regional. Entenmann's to me is like the B- kosher pastry that always comes in the white box with like the curly font on it. You had it like at every bar bat mitzvah I ever attended. So that's what I think of when I think of Entenmann's. I don't know if it's regional. I might find out that it's regional either from the comments or when I post it. From the audience, they had in the Midwest few. They're always B1G1 free. They make it to PA, so at least Northeastern. Great. I'm learning so much about life. I don't know anything. I only know basic joke construction, and everybody else has like lived a real life. So I learn from everyone around me. I've never heard of Entenmann's in the South. That's true. Entenmann's, I feel like, is a very Jewish. It's not a Goyish pastry at all. So Entenmann's are great if you don't care whether it's a cake or cookies. You don't give a shit. You just want to eat out of a little white box, like the little naughty bar mitzvah boy you are. Yeah, we're just gonna really lean into like the Jewishness of it, because I'm Jewish and I think it's really funny. Like, yeah, your Torah portion, don't you? I don't know why I'm like shaming, or I'm like being like a dom toward this person eating out of an Entenmann's box. Yeah, you know your Torah portion, don't you? Let me replace that with, yeah, you like that kosher pastry, don't you, bitch? I don't know. I really like bitch as a punchline. I just think it's a really funny. It's like the very funny catch-all. It's like not quite R-rated. It's just edgy enough that I enjoy ending thoughts that way. You just want to eat out of a little white box like the naughty little bar mitzvah boy you are. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this needs one more idea, but I don't have it with me right now. I don't have it in the holster, at least not the second. The other day I did finish a joke that I started on the show. I finished it like a day or two later. I was very proud of myself. I'm like, I wasn't just lying to them. I actually do come back to ideas occasionally. Cool. So we can keep going. Entenmann's. And Entenmann's also make me think of Cadbury eggs. I think I've written jokes about Cadbury eggs before. Let me just check on my other account. The only way I know how to switch accounts is to make it tiny. Sorry for everyone who's trying to see it. Let me just blow this up again. Let's see. Going to the little arrow. Cadbury eggs. I feel like I've had other Cadbury egg jokes. Oops, didn't put my name on it. It's always important. If you're into Twitter, you should always search jokes. Oh, apparently I've never written a Cadbury eggs. Am I spelling it correctly? Cadbury? Yeah, Cadbury eggs. I guess I've never made a joke about them. That seems weird because I used to love them. Cool. So Cadbury eggs are fun because they have the mini eggs too. Cadbury eggs are from... this is another one where you can play with just order lists that are playing with truth, truth, lie, or truth, lie, weirder lie. That's the other variation, like truth, lie, and then like absurd, like just pushing the lie so far that it almost becomes a different category of information. So Cadbury eggs are from rabbits. We all know that. Cadbury mini eggs are from... and then you would name the animal they're from. So Cadbury eggs are from rabbits. Cadbury mini eggs are from smaller rabbits. Smaller rabbits. What other Cadbury products are there? This is a great thing. Always, I Google the shit out of my jokes. There's nothing wrong with that. Crispello? What the fuck is a Crispello? Fucking made up fucking shit. Fucking English people. We have to do Brexit because what if the rest of Europe gets our fucking Crispellos? The dairy milk, fruit and nut. Ugh, these all suck. These are not funny. The obvious joke here is Cadbury cream eggs are from rabbits who came, who orgasmed, like who cummed, and you spell it with a U. But I don't want to go that dark or that dirty for the 2MB brand. I might do that. That's the kind of joke I might do on my personal one because I'm not interested in getting employed ever again. I hate work, so I just make myself unemployable on my on my main. Let's see. Cadbury Pebbles. The thing is, nobody knows any of these, so none of them will work as a joke, which is frustrating. Pygmy Rabbits, English milk chocolate tastes funny. Flake chocolate is awesome. Crispello, wow, it's crispy. yeah, I'm really burning the British tonight. I don't know why I'm so, like, TERFs love. The only thing British people love more than chocolate eggs are being cunts to trans people. I can't write that. That's like a fun joke. That's like a fun idea, but that's not for the 2MB account. That's I used the word cunt, and Matt was like, "Whoa, Rachel, start first 5 minutes of the program." So we're gonna keep going. I do think it's crazy though. Like how stupid they are. TERFs. Let's do some more. Red Sox baseball. Baseballs are diamonds. Diamonds remind me of smog. Dragons love hoarding gold. There's nothing they love. There's nothing they're more into. Dragons make me think of Scrooge McDuck because he also likes hoarding gold, and like the dragons like sleep on the gold, and then Scrooge McDuck like swims in the gold. I'm like, is there something there? Dragons love hoarding gold. They love sleeping. They're into sleeping on that shit. If you're dating a dragon, your sleeping arrangements need to be like conversation number one. Dragons love hoarding gold. They're very committed to sleeping. We don't need to cut. I love cussing. I love fucking cussing. But all the tweets don't have to have cussing in them. Cussing is funny because it can make your tweet funnier, but it also can make it less easy for people to share. That's just true because people like to keep clean. People like to keep relatively clean for professional reasons. TLs, timelines. So it makes sense that things that have egregious swearing in them, people often don't share as much. So by that logic, if you can avoid swearing, you probably should for the purposes of, you know, those sweet fucking impressions. They're very committed to sleeping on a bed. A bed of crowns and so on. And scepters. Crowns. Scepters. And pointy coins. So that gets the idea across. If you're dating a dragon, sleeping arrangements need to be conversation number 1. Don't set yourself up for failure. Learn from my story. Often for 2MB, I use our story. Learn from our story. Don't self-flip it. So this becomes like relationship advice, which I enjoy just because it's not like the funniest thing in the world, but I do like how you move from kind of a fantasy conceit to basically the format of relationship advice. And they don't, your readers know that you're going there because you didn't know you were going there either. And so for me, that kind of has that fun improvisational feel that I think is at the heart of a lot of tweets that I personally enjoy and I think others enjoy as well. So we're going to kind of boost this up. We're going to build this up. We're going to put that up there. I was like, learn from our story. Cool. And you might add another tag. I don't want to say you can. I don't want to say you can't have too many tags in Twitter, but I will say that Twitter's character limit, for me, I don't mind just if I have more tags I can think of. Sometimes I will just tag the shit out of a joke until I run up against the character limit because I feel like you might as well. And often, once people are in the middle of a tweet, they're usually going to keep reading. And if there's enough tags, they may enjoy one or two, even if like the third tag they kind of keep reading through, and that one doesn't provide the jollity that you're aspiring towards. If they like the other tags, they usually will like the tweet and will share it. So it's you're just kind of giving them like a grab bag of punchlines. And you can do that relatively quickly. Dragons love hoarding gold. They're very committed to sleeping on a bed of crowns, scepters, and pointy coins. If you're dating a dragon, sleeping arrangements need to be conversation number 1. Don't set yourself up for failure. I'm actually going to learn from our story. That is 5 years we can't get back. So it's a sad story. It's a sad story about a relationship that fell apart, which I think is fine. Divorce is real, and we can make fun of it in the guise of fantasy. So cool. So that was the dragon joke. How are you guys doing in the chat? Kit Tempest, again, very active in the chat. JG4, now cooking is one of the old naughty words. You know about Terry's chocolate oranges? I don't know about Terry's chocolate oranges. Who is Terry and why are his oranges chocolate? JT Jog Zone, British Terps won't stop calling the Cadbury Bunny a bird. That's actually a really good joke. You should tweet that, JT Dog Zone. That's your joke. I like that a lot, though. Kit Tempest says, sleeping on gold doesn't sound comfortable. Miles Lobdell says, Cadbury Chomps are my favorite. Chomps, that sounds like the thing in Mario. That's like a giant black ball that like chomps you. Kit Tempest, would dragons get along with Goldfinger? Jollity, active because I just woke up. LOL. Cool. Cool. So we have, I can't believe it's almost 10. Jesus Christ. So this is the part of the show where I'm going to shut up. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves or just let Kit or say things and read their chat conversation. This is the one I'm going to shut up because again, as much fun as it is to talk about the process, I also like coming up with some tweets, just in the moment. And the easiest way for me to do that is to shut up for a couple of minutes and just write some. So I'm going to shut up. That's what I'm telling you to do. Again, if you've just showed up to the show, what I do here is I write jokes. I let people see the jokes I write. I let people into my process. I sort of wildly, extemporaneously conversate with the chat. And at the end, I tell everyone, namely myself, to shut up so I can actually write a bunch at a time, because I probably have only written 2 or 3 tweets tonight, and it's been an hour. So, like any good writer, I have successfully procrastinated at really putting the rubber to the road here. So now I will do the aforementioned road rubbering and get ourselves some jokes out in rapid fashion. When we're peek at the chat, just one more opportunity to procrastinate, and off I go. Let's see. Are you guys back? Okay, I'm in the show. Cool. Sharing the screen again. Share screen. Cool. Whew. Guys, you ever feel like there's something that the government doesn't want you to know, and they like cause your browser to explode? We're gonna find out. Oh, fuck! I lost everything. This is so annoying. Where's my Google Doc? Here's my Twitter account. This is when you realize that I'm not a fun person, because primarily due to the fact that I whine. My whining is incredibly pointed and awful, like worse whining than other people's, I think. Not to be too arrogant about it. Let's see. This common name of sperm whale originated at the beginning of the 19th century during the peak of the commercial whaling industry. The sperm whale's head contains a large, huge fluid-filled organ called spermaceti organ. During whale harvest, the organ was discovered to contain a white, semi-liquid, waxy substance that whalers mistook for sperm. Matt, let me know if I can post this on 2MB Studio. It might be too dirty. To the questions of those in the audience, I did not paint those trees. My interns did. Is that a fun joke? No, nobody wants intern jokes anymore. Let's see. Sorry, I'm in a dark mood. Like, any way this joke would end would be incredibly sad. Oof, 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 as they say in the biz. One writerly tick I have is sometimes I'll use like mankind or men to represent humans, which I know is like very outdated. It's just sometimes I think why I do it is that it like approximates sort of like this like classical slash authoritative tone, which I often think like brings the language up to like a more like high status sort of sounding vernacular so that the jokes hit harder, but I really should start to like phase that shit out. Someone just wrote, die happy. I don't know why they said that. I hope people are being kind to each other in the chat. Please don't tell each other to kill themselves. Don't do that. That's very, that's like being one of those like evil high school students you see on the news. Like she texted, that's too big. I'm sorry. I can't write like this as easy as it is for you guys to see. I don't know. This isn't really real. This is probably a little bit of a weaker joke, but more of a true joke, if that makes sense. I don't want people to be like, I wasn't really bullied. I was like too oblivious to be bullied, if that makes sense. So that's probably closer to the joke I want. Jokes are an imperfect process. How are you guys doing in the chat? Maybe use Latin species names for both men and dogs. Cool. So it's 10:02, so we probably have a couple minutes left. So definitely, if there are any questions you have about the tweets I've written tonight or joking in general, feel free to get those out. Otherwise, I'm just going to try to write a couple of more that I'm relatively happy with before the end of tonight, just because there haven't been any. Part of me feels like I may have blown, if I can be honest, I may have blown my little blown my load a little early. There was one joke I wrote earlier that I was very happy with, that I wrote just before the show came on. I was like warming up. Let's see, where is it? This one I was like very happy with, and I wrote it right before the show started. When we see a guy with a donkey's head, that's powerful bottom energy. I was so pleased with myself when I wrote that, because I don't think I've seen that joke before, and it felt like one of those jokes that like should exist. And I almost like don't want to search for it to see if someone already wrote it. It just felt very good and strong. Powerful bottom energy is obviously a play on bottom from Midsummer Night's Dream, and then powerful bottom energy. You're seeing that a lot on Twitter. It's sort of top energy and bottom energy have sort of supplanted like big dick energy or little dick energy, just sort of like a top and bottom. It sort of has this queer connotation. I don't know if it's exclusively queer connotation, but people use it a lot. So whenever there's just language that sort of bubbles up and then it becomes something that everyone's using, that's sort of when you can partake too. For me, I think of words as like food. Sometimes people are having a picnic and you're like, it would be rude to go over to someone's picnic and just like start eating their food. But if there's like a huge buffet and everyone's eating, and everywhere you look, someone's eating from the buffet, you're like, that's probably fine for me to eat too. And that's kind of how I think about language. Sometimes language is like not for me, and then sometimes it's like, okay, everyone is eating. I also need to eat. I also need to use language, and so why not me in this particular case? My phone just died, but I'm sure you're all still there. Cool. So we'll just do a couple more to ring out this show. Thank you for watching. This has been super fun. I hope you've enjoyed getting a taste of the process. If you've watched more than one of these, thank you so much. I hope this continues to be fun. And again, hoping to get music soon, hoping to, spice it up a little bit. I want a musical guest to help me write funny songs, so that may come next week or it may not, depending on their schedule. Again, no one's getting paid, so it is hard to commit or expect commitment. So we're just gonna there's a police right outside my window. We're gonna let those pigs fly by, and then we're gonna write a couple more jokes just to end the night with some kind of strong, like, hopefully I can end strong. We'll see. I don't always have the best jokes in me when it's game time. Let's see some more olive oil. If what is his name? I can't think of it. Not Peabody, not Pinnacle, not Peanut. Popeye. Popeye's girlfriend was named Olive Oil. If a guy told me he was dating Olive Oil, I'd be like, this dude's into some post-keto shit. Keto is obviously there's like apparently some sort of bank robbery outside my window. Keto is obviously the diet that's like the current diet. If I was writing this joke, 8 years ago, it would have probably been Atkins. Diets obviously are all fake, and so it doesn't really matter. Whatever is the thing that people are talking about, that's sort of what I gravitate towards. Some post keto, and then replacing shit. Shit's a very weak ending. Some post keto. MLM, post keto, wellness lifestyle. One thing I've noticed is people have started talking about how on LinkedIn, people write these posts that are just like, this is the diet that I think the whole office should adopt. Like, diet culture is like flooding into like office culture in a way that feels like very like toxic and circular. So we'll probably be able to at least from a comedic standpoint, take more advantage of that as it goes on. But that feels relatively inchoate, and but it's coming. I believe it's coming. So Popeye's girlfriend was named Olive Oyl. If a guy told me he was eating olive oil, I'd be like, this is some post-keto wellness nonsense. But I'm sure he's making, but he is definitely, this is some post-keto wellness nonsense, but he definitely has one of those jobs that make money. So again, I'm an artist. I don't make money. To me, like, making money and being in office is like, what kind of nonsense app can we make that makes no one's lives better, but it makes us a lot of money, until it ends up to be a whole, like, it ends up all being money laundering to the mob. So that's kind of what I think of the entire professional class. No offense to anyone who has a job. I assume it's most of you. I assume it's not just me. I'm mostly alone. I'm just like, jobs are very complicated. I have a very complicated relationship with them. Popeye's girlfriend was named Olive Oyl. If a guy told me he was dating Olive Oyl, I'd be like, I think it was some post-keto. I would think it was some post-keto wellness nonsense. But he definitely, he definitely had. I think it was some wellness nonsense, but also that he had a job that made money. For me, I'm like, this is a little bit weak, but I like to keep moving. A couple more. I know we're a little bit over, but who cares, right? Not Matt. not my brave and incredibly patient producer, Matt. We're just gonna do a couple more until I'm like, I really feel like I want a joke that I feel comfortable ending on for you all, for myself, for Matt, for this great United States. Hashtag JK, not great at all. Never been great. Let's do some more. As American as apple pie is a great phrase. There are so many better pies. One might argue most of them. That is the kind of jaundiced humor that I delight in. This is the kind of shit that I live for. Put that in there. How you like them apple pie jokes? We'll just do one more. Because I just hated myself then. I was like, should I end on that? But then I'm like, sorry, my ex just, I'm not going to open my screen sharing. I'm sorry to everyone who just happened. I did tell him I was doing a show though, so that's my only line of defense. So I hope you didn't see that. I think it's just playing Dominion. One more. Paramore, Pottermore, nothing there yet. Maybe next week. I love the Goo Goo Dolls. Goo Goo Dolls is like, now that I think about it, like probably prime for a joke renaissance about Goo Goo Dolls. They're like right in that sweet spot where like no one's talking about them, and they haven't made anyone angry yet, like how Smash Mouth had that COVID concert. But I can't think of anything. Goo Goo Dolls. But like, imagine coming up with a band named Goo Goo Dolls. Do you think the Goo Goo Dolls had other ideas for band names? Do you think they were good or worse? Or do you think they were dolls? I kind of like that it's just like a hard, weird stop. Do you think the Goo Goo Dolls had other ideas for band names? Do you think they were good or bad or worse? Or do you think they were just doll, or do you think they were dolls? I kind of like it because the end is I just like it because it's the idea that the band name is bad because they're not people, which I like the amount of I like the length of that leap. And I think it's strange, and I like how it doesn't explain itself more than that. You just kind of have to live in the weird Twin Peaksian nature of that punchline, which I always enjoy. Whenever I can create sort of an ominous atmosphere with a punchline, I think I've really enjoyed that. Again, I don't feel quite done. I'm just gonna push it one more, see if I can get one more in there. One more joke for the road, which is always a nice amount of pressure to put on oneself. One for the road, and then the Beatles song, "Let's Do It in the Road," which is like so funny because I think when I think of Beatles, I think of my parents. And I think of like old guys, and I think of like those weird mop haircuts. It's like so many things, so many associations I don't associate with sex. Like it kind of amazes me that the Beatles had sex because everything I associate with the Beatles is not sexy. I'm like they were young guys. I guess like they were like four attractive young men. Everything about the Beatles seems opposite to sex. Like Yellow Submarine is not sexy. Those like the Sgt. Pepper outfits were not sexy. Like they never we're sexy. It's funny to think the Beatles slept with anyone. There is nothing sexy about the Beatles. Their albums or their mythos. The closest they've come to reminding me of sex is knowing most millennials were likely conceived to them. So that's probably the Beatles joke for tonight. Let's see. It's hard to tell because the print's so big, so made big so you guys can see it. And I'm having a hard time figuring out how long these are. However, none of these have ended up being too long for Twitter, so I think it's been fine. Millennials is of course spelled wrong because I don't know how to spell anything. It's funny to think the Beatles slept with anyone. There's nothing sexy about the Beatles, their albums, or their mythos. The closest they've come to reminding me of sex is I'm going to make this a little bit, give it more of an emotional atmosphere, is the grave knowledge that most millennials were conceived to them. And that's my Beatles joke. And that feels like a good ending to this show. So guys, this has been, what has this been? Honorable Mentions Presents, The Joy of Posting with your poster, Rachel Jane Andelman at RAJ Andelman at Twitter. Again, these were all posted under the Too Much Bread Twitter account. That's Too Much Bread or at 2MB Studios. That's the Twitter account to see all these. I'll be retweeting the ones I like, that I feel good about. And this has been my show. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. The show will continue to evolve in gentle, slight forms as we keep going. I hope it's fun to watch multiple times. If there's stuff you want to see in it, please let me know. You can DM me. It's fine. If you ask me for feet, I'll just send you feet, but they won't be my feet. Just keep that in mind. I love you all very much. Thank you for watching, and this has been my show. Good night.